Is RBC the best bank to get a mortgage? Well, let's just say they have a few things that they do very well and a few things that might make you think twice before signing with them. Hey, I'm Jarrett White, a Canadian mortgage broker here in BC, and I've helped hundreds of families across Canada find the right mortgage solution. And even though I'm a mortgage broker who works with most lenders, I don't actually work with RBC. No mortgage brokers do. But today I'm going to give you my honest breakdown of what I think they do well and what I think you should watch out for. Let's start with saying that RBC actually shines in some ways. One of the best ways is their pre-construction mortgage program. It's the best on the market, hands down. If you're buying a pre-sale home that isn't built yet and has a long completion date, RBC's new build program is a fantastic safety net. It allows you to get a full approval and lock in your rate for up to 5 years. Now, that is huge because if home prices drop before your completion date, other lenders will base your loan amount off the appraised value and not the original purchase price. If that happens, you could end up short on your financing and be forced to come up with a big chunk of money at closing. RBC's pre-construction program protects you from that scenario, which is a massive win for anyone buying a new build home. Now, the downside here is that the rate you're locked into does come at a bit of a premium. And if you want to update that rate later, it means requalifying all over again, which basically just makes it pointless in the first place. The good news is though, is once you have that approval and your rate is locked in, you're not actually obligated to stick with RBC. You can still shop around closer to completion and use RBC's approval as a safety net and see if other brokers like myself can help you find something better. Now, another interesting thing about RBC, and I'll call this a half compliment, is that because they're the biggest bank in Canada, they rarely give out their best rates up front. In fact, RBC is known for giving terrible initial rates. Their model is simply built around you shopping around and coming back to them with a better option from another lender, and that's when they'll start to compete. To me, that says a lot. It tells me that RBC wants to do the least amount possible to earn your business while still winning it in the end. And if they're willing to take that approach with rates, it makes me wonder where else they're cutting corners. Outside of those two areas, honestly, RBC doesn't really hold up compared to other major lenders like TD or Scotia. For starters, their prepayment privileges are the lowest amongst all the big five banks, allowing you to only put 10% per year towards your mortgage, and that compares to 15 or 20% with other lenders. This gives you the ability to pay down your mortgage faster and reduce your penalty even in some situations. Then there's their variable rate mortgage, which compounds interest monthly instead of semi-annually like most other banks. On paper, that might look like you're getting a better interest rate, but in reality, the monthly compounding means you're actually paying slightly more than semi-annually. So you might have a lower monthly compounding interest rate on your variable rate mortgage, but you're actually paying the exact same as someone with a higher interest rate. And of course, we can't ignore how RBC operates. They're a branch-based lender, which means if you're working with them, you're getting advice from an employee of the bank, not an independent advisor who can compare multiple lenders for you. RBC staff can literally only sell you on RBC products, and that's not necessarily bad, but it does mean you're not getting unbiased advice. You're being sold a product, not guided through the process. Plus, their communication is limited to the banking hours, which can be real challenging if something urgent comes up outside of that 9 to 5. Now, to be fair, if you're buying a pre-sale and you want to be extra cautious, RBC is a smart option purely for their pre-construction program. Or maybe you're the type of person who likes to bounce around from lender to lender trying to find the absolute rate, even if that might not be the most ethical thing to do. RBC might be willing to play ball, but usually not by much. That said, in doing so, you might be sacrificing far more in terms of flexibility, long-term savings, and advice that could save you tens of thousands of dollars over time. All for a slightly lower rate that doesn't actually make much of a difference. The reality is, a mortgage isn't a one-time transaction, it's a lifelong strategy. And as a mortgage broker, I can tell you confidently that even if a bank like RBC occasionally wins on rate, it's the terms and conditions that make the biggest impact over the life of the mortgage. If I had to bet my life savings on who would save more money over the life of their mortgage, whether that be a client that works directly with RBC or one working with a broker who understands every lender's policies and products, I'd bet every cent I have on the brokered client. Because it's not about chasing the lowest rate. Rate is important, but not the lowest rate. It's about understanding the fine print, optimizing your structure, and making your mortgage work for you, not the bank. So is RBC the best bank for a mortgage? Well, if you're buying a pre-construction home and you want to have a 5-year lock and peace of mind, they're pretty hard to beat. That's a great product. But for most Canadians, there are much better, more flexible, and more cost-effective options available through other lenders. I'm Jarrett White, a mortgage broker here in BC, and if you're thinking about buying, refinancing, or renewing, you can book a free consultation with me using the link in the description below. Let's make sure you're not just getting a mortgage, but you're getting the right one. If this breakdown helped you, please hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell to be notified. I'm going to be posting many more Canadian mortgage insights, and stay tuned. I'll be breaking down more lenders in the next few weeks to help you make the most educated decision possible. Thank you so much for watching.